Got a value pack of 2023 Optic football, Donruss Optic football. Um, I'm looking for the CJ Stroud rookies, anything along that. I mean, but there's still a lot of good rookies in this class, so there's a lot of good cards still. Um, I guess Bryce Young kind of came on at the end of last season, and he's got some more weapons, so might see a little more out of him. I also have a fantasy football tip. Time to start carrying two defenses. If you're in a cash league, you know this by now, um, and it's probably not necessarily necessary in a a free league, but cash leagues, everybody's streaming. People know that even the best defenses sometimes give up 30 or more points. And there's nothing worse than having a negative on your defensive points, fantasy points. It's a killer. It's a fantasy killer. People know this now. Um, so uh, some people are starting to do it, but yeah, it's time to start carrying two defenses. As a matter of fact, in a lot of my drafts, and sometimes what I'll do is I don't do this much. I'll draft one of the better defenses like Denver, Philadelphia, who was the number one last year, um, as more of an insurance. But then I'll have a second defense that's my streaming defense. In this case, Denver has the best matchup in the first week, going against the Titans and Cam Ward. And boy, it's not looking good early for the news out of camp. First of all, Cam Ward has a low release, and I remember like his first practice, he had like a tip pass that was intercepted. So that's a little concerning. I'm sure it's not something that can't be overcome because small guys, even with a high release, are going to have problems. But some guys learn to find passing lanes. And I'm sure that's what Cam Ward does. He wouldn't have had this success if he doesn't. So those passing lanes get a little harder to find in the NFL. So we'll see how it goes. But when you have a veteran like, what was it, Simmons, who's probably the man on that team, I don't know why they didn't trade him. Maybe he didn't want to. I don't know. Um, when you got him calling out the rookie quarterback, that's probably an effort issue. Um, if he's not seeing like serious effort, because this is people's money, you go um, messing around with people's money, they don't like that. So if they see him coming out and maybe like thinking, yeah, he's all that and not doing the work, yeah, that's not good. So yeah, it's kind of a scary um, start to their new quarterback. So, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, Denver has a good matchup this week because of that, and they're one of the top defenses on top of that. So, but even the best defense gives up 20 points average per game. Sometimes they're having the 30 and more points. Even the best defense can get a negative outcome. You got to find the good matchups. You can't just rely on one defense throughout the season. And if you're waiting till that every week to pick your defense, then you're probably too late in a lot of cases. Um, even if you're doing it off the waiver wire, if you wait till they're like cleared to free agency, yeah, good luck. Um, there's only going to be a handful or less of really good matchups, and there's not many this week. It's because everybody doesn't really know the situation yet with a lot of teams. Not only that, you start getting quarterbacks getting hurt, and you see second and third string guys. So you're looking for teams that have that kind of issue. And there, of course, at the start of the season, there's not many teams that have that. There's not many choices. I will say I like Arizona also at New Orleans, even though that's a road game. Arizona's got a really good team. They're loaded on both sides of the ball. Um, uh, and New Orleans is going with either Shaw or Rattler at quarterback and with a new coach. So you don't know what's going to, how. So I kind of like Arizona in that game. And in another game, and I got to tell you, this is going to surprise a lot of people. I like the Jets against Pittsburgh. It's in New York. Um, Aaron Rodgers isn't the quarterback he used to be. I think that's pretty obvious. And now he's a year older. Um, I kind of like the Jets in that game. The problem with the Jets is that even though they're a good defense, um, they don't get a lot of interceptions because nobody wants to throw at Sauce. So, um, yeah, they don't have like the big points game, but you know they're going to probably put up some points. So and they really beefed up the interior here recently, because they even traded one of their defensive tackles after the two guys they traded off. I forget, that was the guy. Oh gosh, I can't think. Um, but yeah, they and were able to get a draft pick for the guy they traded. That they with the two guys that they brought to the team. So yeah, I kind of like the Jets against Pittsburgh. I'm not so sure about Pittsburgh. Um, they've had a lot of changes, so they do have a good offensive line, and that's important. And the defense, I'm not. I'm. They're getting old. They've got some age on that defense, so I'm really kind of curious to see how. First weeks they should be all fresh and ready to go, including Rodgers. You can see Rodgers as the season wears on. Um, he the arm you start seeing some passes into the ground. He gets tired, so I'm actually surprised teams don't have like a pitch count on quarterbacks. I really am. I think we're going to eventually see something like that where they limit the throws, especially the older guys, um, and then maybe try to work in a rookie every once in a while, things like that. Especially if they don't necessarily need to pass, you know, things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing that. But anyway, carry two defenses. And what you need to be doing is thinking a week ahead. I was going to finish my thought. I often draft, like I said, one of the insurance defense, but that may not be the defense I'm going to stream the first or second week. And I often draft my second week defense with my second defensive pick. So like this week maybe I get Arizona, and then the next week I'm picking the Rams because the Rams are at Tennessee. So the Rams are, going to be a popular pick in week two. Um, uh, I think another good one is San Francisco because I think they face New Orleans. I think that is in New Orleans also. I'm not sure, but yeah. So you got to start thinking ahead now and getting those defensive earlys because there's such a huge point spread between the worst and the best defense. And there's, I don't know if you guys pay attention to how many negative defenses there are every week now. There's always a handful of defenses that are in the negative point. And some of these are defenses that people thought might even do well. So you got to be on top of it. It's time to start carrying two. Think ahead. Um, you know, after this week 1, I'm drafting my defense for week 3, or picking my defense for week 3 off the waiver wire. I'm thinking ahead that much now. Let's see what we got in the value pack. We got a little longer winded on that than I wanted to. Champ Bailey, Dallas Clark. I guess let's move this up to save our hits, I guess. Rated rookie Cam Smith, Chris Godwin, Taysom Hill, Jahan Dotson, Brian Dawkins, Jack Youngblood. There's the Dallas Clark, Dan Hampton, and I don't like getting a lot of veterans. This is the one thing I don't like that Panini does, and I know why they do it. It's, these when you're just putting in players that are currently playing in every set, as the years go by, these sets really start to look weak because there's only a few good players out of them at best. So, yeah, and then there's, and the careers are so short. So I know this is why they do it, and give it a little extra value. And, of course, years down the road, a lot of people won't know that a lot of these guys weren't playing at that time. So there you go. Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, here's a guy that I'm not too sure about. I don't have him on one of my fantasy teams. It's not because he's not a good player. When he's healthy, he puts up good numbers, but that's the issue. I just don't think he's going to be able to take the punishment. Excuse me. Got the hiccups. If he lasts beyond the first 4 games, it'll surprise me. So I kind of like Elijah Mitchell. I mean, and I don't even he's not even the second guy. The second guy is Kareem Hunt, which, what's left in the tank there? I'm actually surprised the Chiefs haven't gone out and gotten somebody, but it's kind of pointless to waste picks or assets on a running back because of the injuries. And so, but I think it would not surprise me in the least. And nobody's got Elijah Mitchell on their team. It wouldn't surprise me within a few weeks if he's the starting back. I'm not joking. Emmitt Smith, and there we go. And Jack Campbell on the rated rookie. That's not a bad one. Nothing special. Yeah, these Panini's notorious for producing cheap retail. So it's just something to be aware of. I don't even think we got one card worth the stand. I guess we could say the Jack was, but oh well. Thank you.